So this is Google's Pixel 6, and I've had it for a couple weeks now, and let me tell you, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the best bang for the buck you can possibly get for any smartphone. So let's talk about it. So first, talk about the hardware and the design and the specs of the phone. So this is the sort of seafoam colorway. In my opinion, I think it's a really nice colorway. I really like the color of the green here, and even though it's a glossy finish, I think it's fine. I think it looks really gorgeous. I think it's a really well-designed phone. That camera bump reminds me of like the S10/S10 Plus camera bump, just a little bit bigger because it's a bigger bump. But that also means that when you lay the phone flat on the table on a flat surface, it's not going to rock. But it still might slip around. So definitely get a case for the phone just because it's a bit slippery. Even with the matte railings on the sides, even though it's like matte, it's still kind of slippery. So when you're holding it in hands, it might slip out of your hands. It might feel slippery. So I definitely recommend getting a case, and I'm always rocking a case regardless. So no matter how gorgeous the phone looks, the only way I'll show it off is with a clear case, which is the speaking one I have right now. But otherwise, the design, in my opinion, is gorgeous. As far as ports, you're getting USB-C at the bottom, dual speakers. Now, these speakers, I will say, they're pretty good. They're loud and they're just fine for watching videos and the occasional song, but they're not super deaf. Like, they don't have crazy bass. I think that's where they lack a little bit. They lack a little bit of bass. And I will say that even though there's like, it looks like it's a dual speakers at the bottom, if you cover up the left one, the right one is going to be the loudest. And if you cover up the right one, it's where you're going to block out the sound. And there's also a top speaker up here at the top of the display to give you that stereo type of style of speakers. So otherwise, the speakers are pretty good. They're loud and they're good enough to watch a video and watch movies and shows here and there. I do wish that the volume rocker and the power button were switched just for reachability. It would be nicer if it was a little bit lower. Just makes it easier when using it with one hand. As far as the display, you're getting a 6.4-inch display, 1080p quality with 90 Hz refresh rate. What does that mean? It's going to be smooth, it's going to be sharp, it's going to be nice. It's a nice, happy medium. Those specs, they're perfectly fine. For the average person, for even me, I think it's perfectly fine. The phone itself looks really good when you're watching movies, watching videos, when you're just browsing around, browsing social media. You know, when you go to just open up an app, things run smooth. The refresh rate is great. It's just a really good display in my opinion. And 6.4 inches can be a little big for some people, but in my opinion, like I said, it's a happy medium. I think it's not too big, but also not too small. I think it's a good medium. And same with the bezels. The bezels, happy medium. With it being a flat display, it's perfectly fine. Honestly, it's perfectly fine. If you're using a case, those bezels will be pretty much non-existent when you put a case on, because the case will just pretty much make the display feel 100% of the phone. So honestly, this display, I'm really liking it. I think it's pretty good. As far as the under-display fingerprint sensor, it's hit or miss, honestly. Some people say it's garbage. Some people say it's fantastic. I will say that it's good. It's good enough, you know. It's not going to be the fastest, but it's also not slow. It doesn't take forever to unlock. But what I will say is you have to be a little bit mindful of where you place your finger. So if you're putting like your tip, it might not work. What I find works best is when you put your finger completely on it and hold it for like, I don't know, 2 seconds, and then it will unlock for you. So honestly, it's a little bit hit or miss. You definitely have to be a little mindful of where you put your finger, but no big deal. Where I did experience some weird issues, I guess this might be the bug of the app itself too, but when I went to unlock my bank account app, my banking app, it would not register my fingerprint sensor on like the first attempt. I would have to close out that fingerprint sensor menu and reopen it to be able to log back in. So that might just be a bug with the app itself and not the actual fingerprint sensor, but that's something I noticed. And that was a little bit annoying at first because I didn't realize that that's what's happening. I was just holding my finger there the whole time. Nothing was happening. So I was like, what's going on? But yeah, that's about it. Honestly, the fingerprint sensor is perfectly fine. And that punch hole camera does not get in the way of the display. So when you're watching stuff, browsing, you're going to forget that it's there. Really, I'm so used to having punch hole cameras that I'm perfectly fine with it. I will say though that there is like a misalignment issue, or that's just the way it is. So if you look at the camera, like if you look really closely, you'll see that the black bezel that's around the camera is a little bit uneven throughout the circle. So there's one part that's just a little bit thicker. It's no big deal, but something that I noticed, which is a little bit weird. Overall, I really like the design. I really like the hardware of the phone. I think it's a really nice feeling phone as well. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to use a case. So no matter how good and how nice the phone looks, I'm always going to put it in a case. But overall, I'm a fan of the design and the hardware. So as far as performance, with Google's new Tensor chip, 8 GB of RAM, and Android 12, what does that all mean? With the combination of all of them, you're getting a really good experience here. Performance is really nice on here. For the price, I think you're getting a really good performing phone. As far as like Android 12 and the software, I think it's pretty nice. Now, it's a little bit more limited compared to like Samsung's One UI, but you still get a handful of things to be able to customize on your phone here. One of those, the biggest one being Material U. So basically what that means is that you can make the wallpaper match pretty much the aesthetic of the phone. So the settings, certain applications that are made by Google, like for example, the calculator app, your icons, your widgets, your settings, everything will have the color palette of your wallpaper. So for example, this wallpaper right here, if you go into the calculator app, you'll see it matches the colors, for the most part, it matches the colors of what was on my wallpaper. Go into my settings, similar idea. Wallpaper kind of matches the things on the settings. And if I go into like menus, same idea. It tries to match it as close as possible. But, I think it's nice. Widgets also try to do the same thing. I think it's very aesthetically pleasing, but it also limits me on what all I can customize. So one of those being that widgets, for my opinion, I wish, or I should say not widgets, but like icons, I wish I could get rid of the label itself. With Samsung, and good luck, I was able to do so easily. On here, I haven't found a super easy way besides like maybe having to download like a whole separate app to be able to force it into Android 12, but I personally don't have a lot of time for that, so I just left it as it is. But overall, I think Android 12, so for the most part, is pretty nice looking. I think it looks really nice and it's easy to navigate. Some settings are a little bit different compared to what I'm used to on like Android, or not Android, Samsung's One UI. So to get into like my special features and like gestures and stuff like that, it's all the way down in system. I'm used to that Excel, like gestures and stuff like that, was its own menu. Versus having to go all the way down to system. I didn't think I had to go down all the way to system to find those extra features. The feature of being able to double tap to bring down the notification bar, I like that. It's in the gesture settings like I mentioned earlier, but being able to do that is nice because it's a big phone. So being able to double tap without having to reach the whole way up is nice. It's really easy. You can use that double tap for other stuff too, to open up a specific app if you wanted to. But personally, I really like being able to use it to bring down the notification bar. I also wish that like stuff like the brightness slider, I wish that was a little bit lower just because it's all the way high up. I'm so used to it, again, with Samsung being lower. I think it's a little bit more reachable if it's lower just because that's something you want to adjust all the time. So I'm so used to just scrolling down and being able to adjust it. And there's actually a small bug when you're using the brightness slider. It doesn't affect the actual brightness of the phone, but what it affects is the notification background. So when you go down, your notification panel there, usually it's white or black. But when you use the brightness slider, it makes it transparent, which I think is actually kind of cool. Kind of wish it was like that, just like by default. And there's other like nitpicky things that I have with Android 12. One of those being the app crashes. So YouTube Studio is one of the apps that I use. I know that some people may not use that, but that's something that crashed on me a lot. The DJI Fly app doesn't work at all. When I try to open it, it just crashes on me. I do wish you could make folders in the app drawer within Android 12. Just small things that I wish you could do that aren't on here. And I also had an issue with the Google Assistant. The one time I had it in my pocket and I didn't even realize that I triggered it. I guess I triggered it because it accidentally, I guess pocket dialed someone for me. So I saw there's a bug where if you accidentally trigger your Google Assistant and don't say anything, it'll automatically call someone in your contacts list. And that someone happens to be someone named James. I happen to know someone named James. So it automatically called my contact named James. So a couple minutes later, I got a text message from James, and he's like, "Did you mean to call me?" And I was like, "What the fuck happened here?" So yeah, that's just a weird bug. Small bugs going on around Android 12, and I gotta let you know that right now they haven't been fixed yet. So that's something to keep in mind. Of course, they might fix it, but right now, that's the issues that I encountered. But even though there's like small bugs here and there, I still have a great time using this phone. Multitasking, it's more than doable on this phone. So basically, my favorite thing to do with multitasking, 2 apps at a time, YouTube and Reddit. I have YouTube playing at the top, Reddit at the bottom, and just browse on the bottom, or browse something else at the bottom. Instagram, Snapchat, I don't know, your Gmail, whatever you want to use. I usually always use YouTube and something else when I'm multitasking, and I've had a great experience. Occasionally, again, those bugs occasionally happen with Android 12. There's this one time where audio kept playing even though I already stopped the video. One thing I do like with audio though is that if you're listening to Spotify, like listening to music, and you go to watch a video on YouTube, it'll slowly transition the Spotify song out and bring the YouTube video in, which is actually really nice. I think that's really neat. And having a big display also means that texting is really nice. The vibration motor, I will say, isn't like the strongest, but it's still okay. So when you're typing, it slightly lets you know that you're typing, but it's not the most aggressive or nicest feeling. It's just okay. As far as things like gaming, now I'm not a big heavy gamer on my phone, but I'll play occasional games here and there when I have the time. So games like Minecraft, simple games like that, Call of Duty Mobile, Subway Surfers, the Clash of Clan games, Clash Royale games. Like I'll play those. Those are the kind of games that I play. I don't play super heavy intensive games just because usually those require time. Like they require you to actually take time to play the game versus like small games like Clash of Clans, Flappy Bird, Minecraft. You can play for like 5 or so minutes and be able to have some fun without fully having to commit to like a long period. But even then, those games, in my opinion, run fantastic. There was like the first week I had the phone where Minecraft was running at slow frame rates, like it was dropping frame rates like crazy, like it was really slowing down. But like later on the next week and after a couple weeks of use, I tried Minecraft again, or I played other games as well. I wasn't having an issue. And with the display being a 6.4-inch display, you're getting a big display too. So it's very nice to be able to play games on here. It's a really good display. It's just big enough. It's good. I think gaming on here, it shows that's a really good performing phone. Because also, say you're gaming and you decide you're done with gaming and want to do something else, like go to YouTube or go to social media or something, there's like barely any hiccups when exiting the game and going to your next app. Honestly, there's like barely any hiccups, if ever, when browsing and switching between apps. Another thing I want to mention as far as performance is the Galaxy Watch 4. Went from my Samsung phone to my Pixel 6, and honestly, it made no difference. I still had a lot of the features that I had on my Samsung phone with the Pixel 6 with the Watch 4. I honestly don't think I missed out on any features. Calls come through, I can answer with phone calls on here. Text messages I can answer on here. I can do pretty much anything I did on my Samsung phone with the Pixel 6 with the Watch 4. So honestly, if you have a Watch 4 already and you have a Samsung phone and you're considering a Pixel 6, definitely do it because the Watch 4 is more than compatible with the Pixel 6. Now, I would hope so it's compatible because it's running a version of Wear OS with One UI. So I would hope it is compatible, and it is. Honestly, I had a really good experience. Everything that was on the Watch 4 with the Samsung is pretty much on the Watch 4 with the Pixel. As far as like the live translate stuff that the Google Tensor chip allows you to do, I think it's pretty cool. Now, I personally think it's fully advantage of that just because I wasn't in a situation where I needed to translate stuff from like say a different language to English or vice versa. So personally, I didn't take advantage of it. But for someone like say my parents who speak Spanish and English, but they don't speak English super well, they're always looking for ways to help them be able to understand what's being said to them or understand what they're reading. So being able to translate the actual like words and the stuff that's on your phone to Spanish from English to Spanish is pretty cool. And same idea of like being able to have someone have a conversation with you in real time and be able to translate that conversation so that you can understand what they're saying. So in my opinion, this is great for someone who needs that. Like if they're traveling a lot, or like my parents who need be able to translate stuff easily on the fly. I think a phone like this would be very useful for them. So that's something really cool as far as that. Another app I want to talk about real quick is Snapchat. Performance is much better on here. Quality is so much better on here thanks to the Snapchat and Google collaboration working with the Pixel 6 to give it that higher quality look. It's just nice. And being able to use that ultra wide, also really nice. I used someone's iPhone to test it out to see if they had an ultra wide as well. They didn't have an ultra wide. I was like, bruh, what? For once, an Android device has something up on an iPhone when it comes to third-party camera use. I was ecstatic. So yeah. Overall though, performance, great. I think it's great. You're getting a great performing phone. Software is great. Again, occasional bugs here and there, and they're very specific and very niche bugs sometimes, but hopefully they can fix them. But even then, it doesn't break my experience. I think overall, I'm enjoying it. I'm really liking it. I use my phone every day and I have like no issues. I'm not like ever like throwing my phone thinking, fuck this shit, I like it. I really do. I think you're going to get a good experience using Android 12, and you're also going to get a really well performing phone for pretty much every use case. So yeah, performance, fantastic. As far as cameras, I'll let you know right away, I'm not a heavy camera user. I usually just take my phone out, take a quick shot, a quick video, and call it a day. I mean, I care, make sure it looks good. I want it to look good, but I'm not super in-depth. I don't try to get the best angle and stuff like that. I'll take my phone out and take a shot. That's how I use my camera on my phone. And on here, you get two cameras. You get your ultra wide and you get your main camera. And honestly, you're getting a good shot about 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, you're gonna get a really good shot. Where I did notice some things was like lens flares. So if like a direct light is hitting your camera lens, you're gonna get like these weird colored flares throughout your shot, which in my opinion actually kind of ruins the shot. This is the first time I've ever noticed something like that on a camera, and it's kind of annoying because if you want to take a good shot of like a light, a car or something like that, you're gonna get a lens flare, which is kind of annoying. But otherwise, other shots and like good lighting conditions, you're gonna get a good shot. I think things look sharp, look vibrant. I think shots for the most part look really good. And night shots, same idea. I mean, again, these look a little bit fake because of how much light it's bringing in or trying to bring in to make it, bright enough so you can see stuff in the picture. It looks a little fake because it's not how dark it was, but it's still very impressive how much it's able to show you in pitch black. Like to me, I'm like, whoa, that's awesome. That's really cool. I could take a shot in the dark and be able to get at least something to show versus just a black screen. You know what I mean? Video, also, it's pretty good. Like I don't take a lot of videos, and in my opinion, that's fine. You get 4K on the ultra wide and the main camera, I believe. 4K 30 at least. 4K 60, I believe, is just on the main. You don't get 4K on the front, so if you're all about the front camera, you definitely want to consider maybe the Pro, because I think the Pro can do 4K in the front. But even then, photography looks good on the front camera. It's perfectly fine. I think I take selfies like once in a blue moon. So here's some selfies that I took. Honestly, it looks fine to me, even in harsh lighting. It looks a little bit harsh, I will say, but even then, it's still more than fine in adequate conditions. You'll get a good selfie shot. But otherwise, honestly, cameras in the front, cameras in the back, it all looks good. I did try like special feature modes here and there. I was an incompetent user, so I couldn't figure out how to use action pan. Long exposure, I didn't even bother trying, even though it'd be kind of cool to get a shot like that. Action pan, I was trying to use it on my drone. It did not work out fine. It came out very, very bad. But yeah, I tried the different features, and if you're competent enough to know how to use them, by all means, they're there for you to give it a shot. They're for you to take advantage of and have fun with. Magic Eraser, I tried it on a few things. Honestly, it's probably gonna be one of those features that I'm gonna forget that I have it. Like, I don't edit my photos. Like I said, I just take my photo and move along. So if I forget that it's there, I'm not gonna take advantage of it. But it's still pretty cool. Now, there's some things where when you try to remove the object, you'll still see like a little piece of it, reminiscent of it. Like it looks like there was something there if you're zooming in to look for it. Otherwise, for the most part, you likely won't notice that it was removed. But again, it's still a really cool feature. I think it's really nice. And the actual photography mode found within the night sight mode, I think it's pretty cool. Being able to take some shots of like the sky and get some stars in your shot. It also takes a small clip video, like a little time lapse video. It's kind of cool because one time I took a shot of like a cloudy night, and you can see the clouds move throughout the night. It's kind of cool in my opinion. But overall, cameras on here, I think you're gonna get a good quality camera. Pixel 6 usually gives you a good quality camera, and even though some people are saying it's like super overprocessed or something like that, in my opinion, it's 100% perfectly fine. I'm not super in depth with this. I'm not super picky with my photos. Some people may be, so if that's something you're into, I would definitely look into a different video to get more like in-depth like review over it. But overall, in my opinion, cameras are just fine. As far as battery life, personally, I'm getting a really good experience. So I'm not a super heavy user, but I get like roughly maybe 2 to 5 hours screen on time depending on my day. So personally, I think it's great because I get pretty much a whole day's use of the battery. And I use the two adaptive features, so adaptive battery and adaptive charging. So adaptive battery, performance, no issue. Everything I talked about as far as performance was with adaptive battery turned on. So honestly, I had no issues when it came to performance. Adaptive charging though, I did have a few issues. So it's supposed to trickle charge your phone, and then using your alarms, it will know when to fully charge your phone by. So it didn't always happen. So there were some nights where or some mornings where I woke up and it was like 70% battery, 80% battery, or a few percentages before it hit 100. Like it wasn't always super accurate, which was a little odd because I always have my alarm for the same exact time every day. So I thought, it would learn eventually when to have it charged by. But it didn't. There's some nights where it did work, but then there's some mornings where it did work, but there were some mornings where it wasn't. The worst one was I woke up, it was at 40% battery life. I panicked and I was like, the hell? So I had to take it off the wireless charger. By the way, it has wireless charging if you want to use that. And I had to plug it in, and I turned off adaptive charging to go to charge it with the cable. Even then, charging speeds aren't the fastest, but it's okay because when you're charging from like 20 to maybe 70 or 80% battery life, it charges somewhat quick. So it takes maybe like 40, 30 minutes to get from 20 to like 60 or 70% battery life, which is not fast, I will say, but it's enough for me to shower, get ready, and still have enough battery life for the rest of the day. So as long as I have like 70 to 80 or 70 to 100% battery life, it'll last me pretty much the whole day. So, and again, it all depends on your usage. So everyone's going to have a different experience. Personally, me, I don't use my phone a ton when I'm working. Like if it's a work day, I don't use my phone a lot. So it'll definitely last me to the end of the day. If I'm off, I'm in class, so I don't use my phone again pretty much in the morning, and I'm not always on it. So it'll last me to the end of the day. So personally, battery life, that's good. Charging speeds are okay. Wish they were better, but overall battery performance has been just fine on this Pixel 6. At the end of the day, would I recommend the Pixel 6? Absolutely. Honestly, I think it's going to be the best bang for the buck you can find. I just think overall it's a good package. Even though there's a few bugs, I know you shouldn't buy something with the promise of updates, but even then, I think this is still an overall really good performing phone. For the price, best bang for the buck. You know what? I even like the Pixel 6 so much that I went ahead and bought the Pixel 6 Pro. So we're going to be doing a comparison video to decide which one you should be getting. I'm still thinking it's going to be the Pixel 6. Just the price, man. The price is too good to pass up. So yeah, Pixel 6, 100% recommended. That's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed. And thank you. Thank you for 1,000 subs, guys. Thank you. Thank you. That's been it. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.